another phone call, just random ones.
No
We
space
switched
is
phones
race
and still
neutral.
get in.
When you're integrating, one group is moving in to a culture already established. While this school has some diversity, it's predictable who's going into what space, and that's the racial predictability.
Second and 9 from the 30.
Oh my God, no!
Lincoln Way takes the lead
That's a playoff.
as the fourth quarter is winding down.
You gotta start getting nervous. Oh, you gotta start getting nervous.
You see, that's where if you look at the groups, like, the football team's not racially divided.
Mm-mm.
The
And-
band's not either.
Like you just saw in the video, the black kid scored and the white kid on the sidelines was cheering him on. He
Yeah.
was interacting with him. He wasn't just kind of ignoring the situation.
Believe we were gonna win.
Okay, so we need to answer this one. In terms of race, what stood out to the football game? I definitely think what we've been really talking about,
Is like the
being divided
yeah,
in
and
the stands.
the fact to me is like you said earlier with like we were divided by like if you play sports, if you do the band,
Mm-hmm.
but like now we're seeing like in the band they weren't racially divided. On the marching band on the field they weren't. They were holding, all the white kids were holding a black girl in the air in the dance on the field. Like
the students being in the activity, like different extracurricular activities, has definitely helped the race situation in every possible way. It helps them connect and realize that they aren't different. They're all the same. But
we're not done yet.
yeah, I know.
There's a quote.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of shocking, I guess. Not really, kind of. But like at the beginning it seems so divided, but then when you look at them outside of the school and like there's what they find their social norms as like the band and all that, how they're interacting with one another on a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, read it out loud.
Oh yes. I say it plain. America never was America to me, and yet I swear this oath, America will be.
Read the quote. What do you think he was saying?
Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. Okay, that part, America never was America to me. That kind of shows you that, I don't know, it connects in a way that you wouldn't think that America would be like completely diverse like this. But it is, and there's definitely different issues and stuff, but I swear this oath, America will be.
Because see, Langston Hughes was an African American, so I think maybe by his quote, he was one of those that felt like he was always getting racial slurs at him and racial remarks that
Yeah.
America wasn't what he thought it was going to be.
Right.
That he thought with the freedom of speech and with everything that comes with America and the Constitution and all that he was going to be treated equally.
Yeah.
And
You would think there would be a change if you, with the continuous
and
development over the years.
that America didn't live up to the potential he thought it would. So to him, America was never America to him, and he swears that America will be. I just. And what does that mean to you? I mean, we see these things happen, and we see people, we see it in movies, we see it anywhere.
Living in a small town, though, it's kind of hard to connect with things like this
Yeah.
because you don't really see it as much.
Because to me, America is as America as it's gonna get
Yeah.
around here.
Mm-hmm.
There's never really any racial problems, like, I don't know. How does that quote?
In terms of maintaining a unified society.
I mean, it is kind of hard because some people may read that and agree, and then
There might be other people
think
who
that
disagree with it.
will unify the society as a
Yeah.
whole because they won't want to be a part of society. Because when everyone agrees to an extent, that unifies everyone together. And I think that Langston Hughes maybe feels like some African Americans do in society today, where they don't feel as if they completely fit in with society as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The transmitting culture idea. We had a big discussion about this in class. There's a lot. But the idea of transmitting culture, I mean, is hard because yes, you want to pass on the ideas of the past but reconstructing society is definitely something that I think most people would see as fit. Instead of living in the past, you want to live in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely that plays a role in it.
Yeah. Well, the things that we wrote down, because the last question is about discussing all the instances where we didn't like how students were behaving.
And we have to
The
talk
first thing
about
we
it.
wrote was the students' bad language.
Yeah, we noticed a lot in the video that the students were
Not afraid to let the
just
F-bomb
whatever.
go.
Yeah, in whatever
Nothing.
situation possible.
Whether it was in the middle of the classroom. I don't think that's acceptable in a classroom.
No.
Especially because a lot of times it was the African American kids, and I think that especially in that situation where you feel like you're already being racially profiled, that by doing
just
that
gonna
and getting
make
in
it
trouble for
worse.
that it could be used too in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Another was just the lack of the students' attention. Like Tiara in the beginning of class,
She didn't care at all.
well, in her classes, they just all talked while the teacher was like, quiet down, and they just still continued talking and didn't really care that the teacher was giving directions or anything. So, it was just the lack of respect, basically, to the teacher.
Yeah.
We also put the kid's reaction to the things the teacher says, because the teacher, like
What
with,
happened? Who
what's
was
his
it?
name? Keyshawn?
Was it Keyshawn?
He was told to do things, And the way he reacted to the teacher, the way
He
he
just kinda
responded was just kind of
He
rude.
started off, I guess. In a
Yeah.
way.
Like, definitely not something that I would recommend. But another thing was the use of the N-word in
That was
school.
definitely used a lot.
Not
in
just
both-
that, but
Both white and black people used it.
and I don't. The thing is, like, with African Americans using it, as if it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Then the getting offended by white people doing it doesn't make it any better,
No.
because then it doesn't make it such a bad thing as they want to incorporate it to be. We also put how Charles was bothering others at lunch.
Yeah.
How he was walking around the entire lunchtime talking to kids and
Disrupting
interrupting
every
them,
group. Yeah.
and just kind of doing what he did. And then the conversation in his group that they had, the rude
Oh yeah.
remarks
definitely
about not having a dad. They were making rude jokes to each other, and it just kind of wasn't acceptable.
No.
We also put we didn't like Tiara's attitude towards class, just because she really acted like it was the worst thing ever, and we think she should probably be more grateful
Yeah.
for the opportunity she's
Because of
given.
that Malala situation, the Malala situation is definitely has definitely made me
Think a little bit more
think a
about
little
it.
bit more about it. Yeah, be more
Grateful for
grateful
what we
for
have.
what we have. Yeah.
And then we just put again, like, black people making racist comments to each other. How, like, again, it's kind of, what do I want to say? It's kind of, I can't think of the word I want to say. It's kind of misleading when, like, a black person can make racial comments towards another black person and it be fine, and then
Yeah.
a white person does the same and it's like disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that shouldn't be the case whatsoever. But yeah, so
I don't know.
those are all
Finish
our
the video.
instances.
See if anything else comes up at the end. Nope. But overall,
We enjoyed the
As-
video.
I was very concerned at the beginning of this video. I was not at the beginning, before the video. I didn't know how this was gonna go, but it definitely went a lot better.
Yeah, and it really opens your eyes to
Yeah.
what's around that you don't ever really take into account that happens in school, because
Yeah,
you as a
'cause-
student, you just walk around, but then this kind of open your eyes to what the teachers see, and maybe why in high school when kids were getting in trouble and we were like they didn't do anything, maybe we didn't correctly think about the situation and exactly see what was happening.
Yeah, and then living in like a small community, we don't get or experience any of these bigger issues that go on. So like that's kind of eye opening to the issues that are going on 2 hours away from us, and it can be completely different. But
Yeah.
really good.
Okay. Done.